And we're on. Hello and welcome. My name is Javier-Cerulli, and my book, Journal Your Archetypes, will be coming out in July of 2016, this summer, in just a couple weeks. And I was lucky enough to collaborate with a bunch of wonderful artists, and one of them I have here, Seth Apter. Say hi, Seth.
Hey, Gabrielle. Hey, gang.
So, Seth, tell the folks who don't know you what you do and how you got in the art journaling game.
Well, my name is Seth Apter. I'm a mixed media artist from New York City, and I have been involved in art in some way, shape, or form probably for about 15 years. Came to it late. I do a lot in terms of creating art, but I also teach workshops.
It's late. Exactly. It's not late.
You know, relatively speaking.
Right.
I teach workshops, do a lot of traveling, and spend a lot of time online showing my art, showing other people's art through my blog, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. I got it.
And what kind of art retreats are we talking? What do you have coming up? Or what have you done like in this year, 2016, or what you have coming up in 2016?
I do a combination of things, almost always live rather than online. And I teach at different venues. So sometimes I'm teaching at a store, an art store, a craft store. Sometimes I'm teaching at an art school. And then sometimes I'm teaching at one of the larger art retreats.
Such as?
Well, for example, I've taught this year at Art Is You. Okay. Which is our retreat that takes place in a number of different places throughout the US and also in Australia. So I've already taught at Santa Rosa in California in April. In July, I get a whole month in Australia.
Again?
Nice. And then in later in the year in October, I'll be at Art Is You in Stamford.
Wonderful. And you've done a Pacific Northwest School for the Arts?
Yes, I have actually on Whidbey Island, and I'm going to be back there in June of 2017 too.
Wow, that's already scheduled. Wonderful. Yeah. And so you're busy because you also have another life besides doing all this artwork. Do you want to give a little blurb about that? And also not only just that, but also your writing part.
Sure. I guess my other life, I'm guessing you're referring to the fact that I'm trained as a psychologist.
Yes.
And I had been doing that when I discovered the art world. And I'm still doing that. I have a private practice. It's a part-time private practice now. I will say that the art side of things have taken over a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And as you say, that does include the writing. So yeah. I've done a couple books myself with Northlight. Last one being several years ago. And I guess my most consistent writing gig right now is a column for a Cloth, Paper, Scissors magazine.
Do you have a sample of that?
You know what? I just happened to. So this is the current issue, and it's kind of an exciting issue for me because my art's on the cover as well.
Congratulations! I didn't know that because I don't think I've seen that issue yet.
This has just come out. You know, it's the I guess June, July, May, June. Actually, it's May, June, but it's been out for a little bit. And the column in it is called the Creative Pulse.
Nice.
And really, what the column is about is different issues that might impact different artists. So it talks about taking on the name artist, which some people have a problem with, how to overcome obstacles, balancing business with creativity. Things that a lot of artists or crafters might find they have problems with or issues about.
Wonderful. And so you've been doing that column in that magazine for almost a year now?
2015 I did for the full year, and so now I'm through 2016 as well. Okay. And everything is so done so far in advance that I've pretty much written all my columns and submitted them for this year already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. And so you're busy, as everybody can tell. When you get to the point of being this busy, people have to pick and choose what they say yes to. And so why did you say yes to collaborating on my book, the Art Journal Your Archetypes book? What was the interest there?
Well, there's probably two main reasons. The first one being that I know you're connected with Tanya Jenny
Yes.
through Northlight, and she was my editor and friend. So if she recommends you,
Oh, that's very
I'm all
nice.
over it.
Tanya's also, just by the way, a PS, Tanya's in the book. She's under Sacred Maker, and she, if you need more help with your life coaching, Tanya's listed in there and how you can contact her. Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic. And she'll do a great job, no doubt. The other thing was I thought that this was a really interesting opportunity for me to almost combine my two lives. As you mentioned earlier, you asked me about what I do outside of the art. And so this was an opportunity to kind of blend art and blend psych.
Yes.
And art journaling, of course, is also a way to do that. So put it all together, it seemed like a no-brainer to say yes.
Right. And, so my degree is in a master's in expressive arts therapy, and that's where we combine the art and the therapy and the psych. And so Seth and I, through the last couple of years, have, discussed this marriage of art and psych in a variety of ways. Even though you don't do art therapy
Right.
per se, but we've talked about that a lot.
Yes.
And so folks who are going to be picking up the book, you'll learn a little more about Seth. He, besides having the artist archetype, he's also scribe, performer, and mentor, which will be a little bit of surprise. The scribe, not so surprising because we just learned about your books and publications. But the mentor and the performer, how does that come out? I mean, maybe as a teacher?
Well, it's interesting. When I did what I needed to do with you to find out what my archetypes were, initially they were a little surprising to me. I just wasn't sure what would come up. But honestly, after I sat with them, they really fit me to a T.
Yeah.
And I think there is some natural performer in me. I think in order to teach workshops, in order to spend time in front of people in that way, you do have to have a little bit of ability and willingness to put yourself out there and sort of almost be on stage. That ends up being a big part of it. And so I think that's actually, that piece of me has helped me be so happy doing the teaching. Right.
Right. Were there any other surprises besides the validation and the connecting the dots for you? Were there any like real surprises?
Well, no.
The father wasn't a surprise either. No.
Well, I'm not a father in real life, well, but in terms of the archetype of it, I think that the sort of mentor father is definitely a role that I've played and do play, both as a therapist and just within my own personal life, and then certainly in art. I think that for me, it's really important in relationship to art in the art world that we all kind of work with each other and lift each other up. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a sense that to be a support, to be like a father, be like a mentor, for me to others and for others to others, not just me, is really important in the art world. So that didn't surprise me in that sense, because I do think it's important. When I first came into the world, there were so many people who were very willing to help me and mentor me and show me the ropes and give me advice and give me direction. And I so appreciated that. And I always remembered that when and if the time came where I was in that position, that I would absolutely do that for anybody who was looking for help or advice.
Oh, that's very nice. See, that is totally father, mentor, and also networker. You definitely have that. And it is, I mean, it's a little different in our world of art journaling, mixed media world. Most of the folks that we hang out with, they're not trying to get into galleries. So it's not like that sort of competition at all.
Correct.
So it's a little it's like it's not as cutthroat.
Yeah.
But there are challenges of finding one's voice or trying to make a living, or there's just different things, especially if you're trying to do this for a business. So it is nice to have people who are willing to give advice, because it is a very uncharted territory. It's not like going up the ladder in a corporation. You know, we're
Right.
really all kind of feeling our way here.
I think it's somewhat scary too, because in order to do this now, you have to put yourself out in the world. You're showing your work online, and when you show your work online, you're kind of showing yourself. And right now, although, and I think I consider this a community. In our community, it's overall pretty supportive, but online there's a lot of hate that, and people seem so comfortable and to put comments that are without your name connected to it, that are quite hateful. And so I think it does get scary to say, you know what, I'm going to just open myself up and take any criticism that anybody's interested in giving. Right. So I think from that perspective, people who do it are brave, but they also do need the support of other people in the community.
Right. And so I was interested in inviting you because I knew you were very much a proponent of networking, like being open with people. People don't have to join things to hang out with you online, or they don't have to, there's a lot of openness. And also because of your artwork and your style that I connected to, because there's that grunginess to it, kind of street art-esque to it that I kind of like as well. So can you talk a little bit about your style of art, how you've come to find it, and do you have any art products that that's available to people?
Well, I think my styles developed over time. When I look back at things that I did earlier on, they were much more simple and basic. I'm self-taught, so I didn't really have the background of art when I began, and so it was all about experimentation. And I think that the combination of not knowing allowed me to do some things and try some things, not realizing that they may or may not work, which led me to other things which then did work. And I think in combination with just living in New York City, there's just such an energy and sort of a grit here that I do think just kind of infuses my work. But for me, it's all about kind of creating a lot of layers, creating a history in the piece, creating a lot of complexity, a lot of dimension. So for example, I look at the background behind you and I see that, you capture that as well. There's obviously a lot going on there, and a lot of layers and a lot of dimension and a lot of complex notes. And I think for me, that's what my art has built to. So sometimes it's all about paint, and it will be layer after layer after layer of paint. But a lot of times it's about found objects, or other 3D assemblage type pieces. But it's the same thing. I'm layering, and I'm creating a history and trying to put things together that maybe don't necessarily belong. Over the years, when I was working with lots of the tools that mixed media artists use, like rubber stamps and stencils, it was always important to me to make them my own. So whenever I used a stamp, I would not use the whole thing. Or if I used a stencil, I would use elements of it. And so over time, I decided, you know what, rather than do that, I'm just going to make my own. So that's led into this period now where I'm working with a number of companies and making my own designs and my products. And I do have some to show. So I'll just show a few here. So these are just some of the stencils that I have with Stencil Girl products.
Very bad.
I think you can see those. There's maybe a shadow.
Are these new, Seth?
New-ish. I actually have new ones coming out in the next week.
Okay.
That I can't quite show, but you can see these are they're sort of grungy, and
exactly.
They have some words in them that would lend themselves to art journaling, and that are not all like pretty and easy, because life isn't. I also have a line of stamps with impression obsession, and so some of them are grungy elements. There's a lot of glitter.
I've never heard of that, but can you hold those up again? Impression obsession.
Impression obsession. So I think I have about 15 of these sets now. And they're all different, but they're all grungy backgrounds, and a lot of them are words. that might be good for journaling, like story within.
Very nice.
And then also I have a line now with spellbinders, which are
That's brand new.
That's my newest.
Yeah.
Now, these are die cuts. I also have stamps and other things there. And the idea behind these is that these are things you run through through an embossing and die cutting machine, and you create shapes. And I created them to be very abstract and kind of a little urban, so that you could use them your own way. That was important to me too, that people have an opportunity with the products I designed to really make them their own.
Yeah, it's funny because when I started art journaling a gazillion years ago, there was no way I was going to use a stencil or a stamp. Right. And then you just get sucked into it, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's just another tool. Exactly. That's exactly what you're saying. Like, it doesn't have to be, the old school stencil, like you fill it in and then you're using somebody else's art. It's just another tool.
Exactly. I might put a stencil in the 3rd layer, and by the time I get to the 5th layer, you barely even see, and you would never identify it as the stencil.
Right.
It just gets part of the whole mix.
Exactly. That's art journaling, and that's a lot of mixed media as well.
Yes.
Well, those are cool. That you have a lot coming on, a lot happening, and a lot coming up as well. Any classes that are still open that's coming up for you?
Let's see. Well, since I'm plugging, I'm going to plug some future classes.
Do it.
As I said, I've been doing more retreats. And so this past year, earlier this year, I did a retreat with Roxanne Evans Stout. That was in Taos, called A Case of Curiosities. And we're going to do that again next year.
That will be fantastic, because hers are so, like, you and I love the texture of things, but all her texture are from like natural objects. Oh, she has wonderful.
Yeah, we had an amazing time. So we're repeating that definitely once in March in Taos, New Mexico, but we're also trying to do it a second time next year. So that information about that will be out soon. And then I'm also going to do my own, for the first time, my own official retreat, and that's going to be in Mexico next year as well. So I'm working on the details of that. So I'm excited about that. And so there's no registration for that yet. So the spaces are available. But
they should get in your on your Facebook or your list. How do people find you, Seth?
Well, probably the best way to start is just, if you know my name, just go to sethapter.com. It's my website, and from there's a page that will give you links to my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, YouTube, everything like that. And then there's tabs at the top. If you go to the workshop tabs, those workshops are listed, and it just gives information about how you get on the list to get information about the workshop.
Great. And it's APTER.
Correct.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the book. I can't wait for the folks to see the artwork that you did for the book.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited too.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Bye.